Hello, Opening Pathways viewers. This is Tom LeNoble. It's great to be with you again. And have I got a guest today? I've been looking forward to this. I know I say that sometimes, but today you're going to see this is a powerful one today. Jose is the CEO of JoseConnect.com. He has his own podcast. He's a best-selling author. He's a speaker. He is the founder and chairman of a nonprofit called Angels Helping on Earth. And has he got some stories for you? And the other thing I have learned about my interactions with Jose is he is also a wonderful, wonderful human being. Jose, welcome to Opening Pathways.
Thank you for having me, Tom. The connection with Tom has been magical because he introduced me with some friend of him in Hawaii, and we did a great connection for my foundation today. So I really appreciate that
Yes,
connection.
yes, and we've been great. We've spoke together on Global Speaker Talk. We've had a lot of Tom and Jose time recently, which has been great, but today you're all mine. So, I think it's important for the viewers to understand who you are. So I'm going to put a little frame around it, and then I'd love for you to say just a little bit about what you're up to, and then we're going to get into some details. Folks, I want you to understand today that Jose has an incredible background. He was the CEO of Citgo, a huge oil company in Venezuela. And if you're paying attention to the news, there's a lot going on in Venezuela today. That job landed him as a prisoner of war. Jose thought his life might be over, and he fortunately ended up in a prison swap with a new breath to life. And there's so much he's done with his beautiful life. And you can imagine with everything that's going on, I will tell you up front, he has opened my eyes and my perspective about everything that's happening and what's going on and in this crazy world that we live in and some of the things that are happening today. And he's going to share some of those with you. So, Jose, please frame for the viewers what you're working on, a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive in.
Okay. Well, as Tom introduced, I'm Venezuelan born, and I did my career always in the oil and gas, and I retired, not retired, I was forcibly retired when I was detained unjustly and kept hostage during 5 years in 2017 after 35 years in the oil and gas. And as Tom mentioned, I started in Venezuela with the Venezuelan state-owned company, Pereira, and ended here in the US. I live in Houston. It's Citgo Petroleum that has more than 6,000 gas stations here in the US. It's very well known. And I became the CEO. Being an immigrant for me was a big deal. Becoming the CEO, being here in one of the biggest companies here in the US. But by that time, because that was during the first Trump administration, he was having issue with Maduro, and look how he finished that movie. Yeah, so we got caught in the middle of that geopolitical tension, and we became the pawns of the situation. So in these days after the capture of Maduro and the announcement of Trump of the American company going back, I was retired of that thing, and now everybody began to look me. Oh, but this is the to-go guy. So now everybody wants to know about my opinion because honestly, I have a lot to say about this topic. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to come back to that later because I want to dig in a little bit more about what you're actually working on and what you've been doing and who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have this practice of speaking and your books,
Mm-hmm.
and life changed for you dramatically. And so, when you reinvented yourself,
Mm-hmm.
how do you look at yourself today, and how are you different from the person you were before you started working on what you're doing?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, Tom, because I'm not the man I used to be. I was a guy that did my career in the corporate world, always focusing in the corporate ladder, nothing to do with neither with my family, neither with my spirituality, nothing about that. So when I went to this big 5 year retreat that was my hostage situation, I had the opportunity to revisit my life and go back to God. So because when you're in those adversity, you begin to ask God, please help me. So but we did it intentionally, and I discovered a lot of things that going in that moment that I saw in the Bible. So you can see all those people in the Bible have gone, Paul, Job, Daniel, Joseph. So I begin to say, hey, this is what we're going through. And that was an eye-opening for us. And when I came back, the first thing that I did was go to my church that I'm very connected today. And that began to open my eyes and reveal that I needed to use what I went through to help others. So I created this coaching program that I have here. And I wrote a book that is here. And I wrote another book that is about leadership that is here. So I began to do a lot of things. And it began to evolve in something that I could never imagine. Nothing of that I didn't in the past. And I began to get invited to go to speak, do conference. And here I am, becoming an author, a coach, and a speaker, something that I never expected, but that's what God does with your life,
Yeah, so tell us this. What identity did you have to let go of to fully step into what you're doing today?
Well, first thing, something that is called ego, the ego. I was full of ego. And this is typically something that happened when you're in a position like mine. I was a CEO of one of the biggest oil and gas company here. You have a lot of toys, You have a lot of toys, and you pick up the phone and everything is done. And at some point you see yourself like invincible, and you begin to fool yourself of ego, and now you're very selfish, self-centered. All of these things, unfortunately, is gone. So I opened my life, and even I could have been full of revenge, vengeance, bitterness, everything. I took it out of my heart.
We just went through the holidays and we're here in a new year. And for some of us, the end of a year and starting a new one becomes a reflective moment. We think back about what that year had and look forward to a new year. Some of us set intentions or goals or resolutions, whatever we may choose to do. Well, I'm interested to know, as this year progressed and one went by, has life asked you to slow down recently in any area? And tell us about what you heard when it spoke to you.
Let me tell you, the situation has been totally crazy. I was hearing you, I was laughing, and let me tell you why. Because we, Venezuelan, we were following the news during December, all those battleships in front of Venezuela, and Trump announcing that he is going to intervene back and forward. So nobody was sleeping. Everybody was, in the media looking what was going on. Now it came December 31, nothing happened. So the people was, oh, nothing happened. So this January 3, I'm sleeping, and at 1 a.m. in the morning, I received a phone call from Venezuela. It's happening. It's happening. I turned the TV. Oh, everyone. So that was nothing that normal. Was a very, very abnormal December and the beginning of the year for us.
Yeah, so it's a supercharged year so far.
Yeah.
Yes. So tell us this, Jose, what have been your personal values from the start?
Well, for me, always, 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 I said that I was full of ego or whatever, something that had been always embedded in my personality, basically two things. I always was a very positive guy. And that helped me during my ordeal because I always had a very positive mindset, always, all my life. I was literally Mr. Positivity. Okay. And the other thing that I always was a very people guy. I did my career very concentrating in treating very well people. Even I was full of ego. I didn't treat bad my employees. I always was taking care of them, and this reinforced my today what I do, because if I understood the need to be positive, I now reinforce it more. And also, if I was taking care of the people, I also today in my coaching practice, this is one of the key things that people take care of that human side. So these are two things that really have been always part of my personality.
Interesting. So tell me this. I'm interested to know, how has your relationship with risk changed in the past few years?
It's very interesting, the question. Let me tell you why. Because I always mention that in my career, I did a lot of risk training. Everybody that knows that oil and gas is a risky business. It's very risky. So you are very well equipped with trainings about risk management, unfolding if there is a blow up or a fire in a refinery. So you get kind of equipped to handle those situations, management control under crisis, whatever. But my friend, nobody's prepared to a situation extreme like that happened to me. Even I was a guy trained, nobody got trained for some major event in your life. So for me, my perception today is that you need to be trained to unfold risky situation, but it's more having the awareness how to handle things instead of trying to mitigate the risk only. So you need to have the awareness that when something is happening, how you will deal with the situation. And this is part of today of my coaching practice, by the way.
Very interesting. So I want to know, because I know you've had to feel fear one or two times.
Mm-hmm.
How do you recognize when fear is bringing you information versus a stop sign?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm gonna be honest. These days, when it began to happen, what's happening in Venezuela, even that I thought that I had left behind a lot of things, a lot of events came back to my mind, and I had weekly therapy with my therapist, and I had a therapy yesterday, and my therapist Daisy, she was telling me, Jose, the situation is that people, when you have gone through a dramatic moment like you went, and even that you were treated your PTSD, whatever, at some point your brain protects you, and then when the brain see that you are okay, he puts in the back those events. They put back those events, and then you are okay until something happened and they pop up and come again. So that was happening to me when I begin to see that they captured Maduro, and this guy was going to the trial with a handcuff in the armored truck with a guard. That was exactly what that guy did to us. So I begin to see that image, and it begin to come back the image to me. And remember, the brain doesn't recognize what is true and what's not true. The brain is happening, even if you're only thinking it. It's like you're revisiting those moments. So I begin to have kind of panic attack. I was really beginning to think that so I'm blessed that I have my therapist that she began to take care, but I begin to feel fear. It's
Yes,
like I was experimenting the fear that I had in that moment. It's incredible.
that is how the brain works and brings it right back into our reality
Mm-hmm.
fast. You
Mm-hmm.
went through some things that there's a reason to have them be right there on the edge at times when these
Yes.
big events are going on. I want to know about a risky decision you've made recently and what gave you the courage to act.
Wow. Well, let me tell you, I'm gonna mention something here that I typically don't talk about this. I I'm not gonna mention the person, but there is a very, very famous motivational speaker, one of the biggest motivational speakers here in the US. That I went to an event the other day, some couple of months ago, and one a friend of mine introduced me as somebody that's very connected to this guy, and he blew his mind when he knew my story, and but I had my book, and he had the opportunity to read the book, so he contacted this guy. He said, "Hey, I had this guy. This is incredible." That guy contacted me, and he wanted me to begin to work with him, and I was like in shock because it's a big name. And I said, I cannot believe that. But I began to think, what will happen if I begin to do this? Today, for me, I really try to have a balance, because one of the most important things today in my life is have a balance in my life, because that was the mistake that I did in the past. And I saw myself, what happened if I begin to do this and maybe begin to go stage all over the world? 300 days outside. I don't see my family. And I asked the Holy Spirit, please guide me if this is the right decision. And let me tell you what happened. That weekend, I had an event in my church, and they invited a guy that was one of the big name behind a big church that was built up in Guatemala. And that guy came to give his testimony. And he did his testimony how he had decided to abandon something to build up the church, to do the right thing. And that message came to me. So the message of that guy was, don't take it. Keep what you're doing because you have a calling. Follow your calling. And I said to the guy, thanks, but no.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling me. So that I can tell you, I was, is this the right decision? And let me tell you, after a couple of months, for me, it was the right decision. Because if I have taken the other decision, I will go on to what I was doing in the past.
Yes.
And I went through that process, and I'm not going to come back again. Because God gives you one opportunity, you have to use it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell me this, Jose, what are you most proud of? Not professionally, not publicly, but personally.
Well, that God changed me. God changed me. I'm a different person. I'm not gonna say that I'm perfect, but I believe that God has changed me in a dramatic way. So I'm proud of that. I really feel proud of it. I don't feel blessed what happened to me, but I'm blessed the lesson I learned after what happened.
Interesting, wonderful. What boundary have you had to put in place that's now essential to sustaining you? Has there been something you've had to do to make sure that you're able to continue on and do the things you do? You've been through some amazing and also treacherous and dangerous and things that people can't even really imagine of what that must be like. And have you had to put in a boundary to make sure that you protect and sustain yourself?
Yeah, for me today, the balance between my personal life and anything I'm doing is key. My grandson, by the way, they come every Thursday, Friday. They stay here with me because I take them during the weekend. We go to see movies and
Wonderful.
spoil them, whatever. So for me today, taking care of that is key. If I had to quit anything I'm doing, that is key because this is something that I didn't do it in the past.
Wonderful. How old are they?
One is 13 and one is 11.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm curious. I know you are a busy man. You are everywhere and focused on many things. And I'm curious how Jose stays aligned with your purpose during that day-to-day grind.
Well, honestly, I try to be today. There's the AI is a wonderful tool. If you, I always was a curious guy. Even I didn't have no clue. I didn't have in the past no clue of social media, absolutely no clue. And I begin to do the podcast, my TV show, speaking, whatever, all over the place. I said, if I'm going to do this now, first, I want to do it intentionally because everything that I'm doing today is intentional. I have a calling and I'm doing everything with an intention. I try to use AI as much as possible to help me. And I have a VA, of course, that help me. But people see me doing a lot of stuff, but believe me, you can program yourself to try to do it in a way that it appears that you're doing a lot of things, but you're using a lot of AI helping.
Yes, yes. I think those of people who are not using AI at some level are likely going to
Oh,
be they're going to be left behind because it's here,
for
it's
me,
not going
it's
anywhere.
wonderful because I record this and then I put it in Opus Clip and cut me 30 clips and I put automatically, I have 1 month clip going outside there.
I love this. So tell me, through all these experiences, Jose, what have you learned about trust?
Oh, wow. It's, well, You know, I believe that I truly believe that the people are good, but uh, you cannot trust everybody. Unfortunately, even what the experience that I had, when you see my book, the name is From Hero to Billion, is because I was supposed to be a national hero in Venezuela, being one of the guys that went all the way to the top. Every time I was going to Venezuela when I was a CEO in Citgo, they treated me like a national hero. And in a minute, I became one of the worst of the villains. The same people that was cheering me because I was. So you cannot trust everybody. That's the truth. But I truly believe that in a sense, the people are good.
Yes, yes. So I'm curious, what does renewal look like for you beyond just resting or taking some time off? How does Jose renew himself?
Well, I try to take time off with my kids. I dedicate time with my church, and I that for me is I feel fulfilled when I do that. And I try to use that. I love to go to movies, so I take my grandson and I join with them. So I try to have that time for that.
Great. I talk to people and I realize that who we are today has often been influenced by someone that was in our life when we were very young. Something got instilled in our life. We learned something, we were
Mhm.
exposed to something, but there was someone or some key people that had influence. Who was that for you?
My dad, let me tell you, my dad passed when I was 14. But my dad was a guy that he was also a seasonal oil and gas worker because I'm a fourth generation of oil and gas worker. But my dad, beside that, he was a kind of a philanthropist because he did a lot of things. He was the president of the club and was with the Rotary Club. He was a Freemason. He was all over the place. But he always kept saying me that he always told me this, that the man in the life has to be like a sheep that has to leave the trail because that will become his legacy. And that kept me always in my mind. And for me, leaving a legacy is something today that is my passion. Today, everything I do is thinking in my legacy. Today, the legacy is everything for me.
Amazing. What's Jose's boldest vision for the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, I started my nonprofit. My nonprofit is to help the Hispanic immigrants for trauma recovery. I went through that, and I know that is a lot of need in that area. I'm going to start here in Houston, but I envision that to become a nationwide foundation. That's my vision.
And it's a 501(c)(3), yes?
It's a 501c3.
So go ahead and tell us how, if someone was interested in supporting you, how they find that nonprofit.
Okay, you can go to the webpage of the nonprofit is angels in earth. Angels in earth. If you go to the webpage of the foundation, you will see all the four pillars of the foundation. But the most important, and let me give you some minutes why it came to me. I had a dream when I was in prison. I had a dream where God came to me and he took me to the future, and I saw the foundation and I asked, "What is this?" And he told me, "This is going to be your foundation, and the name is going to be Angels Helping in Earth." I'm Jose Angel. And I honoring that, that's the name of my foundation.
I love this story. This is wonderful, Jose. Tell me this, Jose, we are living in times that feel like, anyway, there's a lot of um, upheaval, a lot of things that are frightening to people, a lot of unknowns. There's also some beautiful things happening, of course, in the world. There always are. And I know I like to put my attention there as much as I can, but there are some wild things going on right now in our world. What is your hope for the world in this coming year?
Well, that's that's why I talk about being intentional, because I believe that I can. You're not gonna save the world, but you can change the world. You can be a contributor to change the world. So as much as I put my message out that I went through a process of transformation, that God restored me, that God rescued me, that God did the miracle in me, that I can talk about this. That's going to be my contribution. And I truly believe that even there is a lot of evil, that is true, that also there is a revival moment in happening. By the way, I'm invited to attend in May an event that's going to be in Jacksonville, Florida, in May. It's called Revival 250. It's going to be aired to millions of people, attended for thousands of people, and I'm going to have they're going to tell my testimony there in front of the crowd. So that the power of the testimony is that you can transform life, because the people can see, if they can do it to me, he can do it to you. And that's the message.
Yes, yes. Tell me this, Jose. What's the quietest but most powerful truth this journey has taught you?
That anything in life is possible if you go back to God, you believe in yourself, and you believe that he can do the miracle in your life. And when you believe it and you pray for it and you intentionally, really strongly believe, not what you're going through today, where you think that you are going to be, the miracle is going to happen in your life, because he makes possible the impossible. He did it with me. So I'm a life testament of that.
Amazing. If you could leave the listeners today and the ones that will listen to it in the future one invitation, what would it be?
Never give up. No matter what you're going in your life, never give up.
Yes, you speak with that from experience. I can
Mm-hmm.
feel it
Mm-hmm.
and see it. So I have a question for you. What would happen? What would you say to little Jose
Mm-hmm.
if he were watching this podcast? What would you tell him?
Pursue your dream. Pursue your dream. That dream that you have in your heart, that you feel passion, pursue it. No matter what you're going through, if you fall, stand up and continue, and never give up. Never give up. And let me tell you, I tell this to my grandsons every day. In December, I wrote them a letter. A letter for the future. And I told him, keep this letter for the rest of your life. In any moment you're going through something bad in your life, read this letter. So that is the powerful message that I try to convey to them. Never give up and pursue your dream.
Jose, this has been great. I saved some time specifically because you and I had a conversation and it enlightened me to what is actually happening in Venezuela, what this means to Venezuelans, what it could mean in the future. And we see many things in the press today. We hear things from many sources. If there's one thing that's going on in the world, we certainly aren't unified in what we learn and what we hear. I would love to hear from you to the viewers a better understanding of what just happened, why it's important to Venezuelans, how they feel about it, and what you see as the opportunity coming.
Okay. I'm going to talk, but before that, I encourage the people, read today newsletter I posted in my LinkedIn profile. I put it, the title is Venezuela in the Crossroad. I dissect the situation. Read it, because I put my brain on that. So what is the situation with Venezuela? There is a lot of things in the media that Trump invaded the country, that it was illegal, blah blah blah. The reality is that we had 25 years with this regime that was ruined. Not only was it ruined the country. It committed crimes, incredible crimes. Thousands of people died, or because they were killed, or they died in a jail, or they died because they didn't have medicine or food. Almost a third of the country had to go away. That's the biggest diaspora in the modern history because of that. So it was a humanitarian tragedy what was going on. And this guy, he stole the elections. So he was not a president. He was a criminal that has stolen an election. And we, the Venezuelans, had tried during decades to take that guy out. And we did several elections, demonstrations, manifestations, the dialogue tables. We did everything that a modern society can do. And we, the Venezuelans, are very pacific and democrats. So we did the things like we were Swiss. We did things in the way that a civilized society can do it. This guy will not go out that way. So the only way that guy can be taken was exactly how it happened. He was abducted. The situation hasn't finished because that is in place today is the regime that still is there because it's not finished. It's not a government. It's more like a mob. It's like the Cosa Nostra, the Italian Cosa Nostra. So these guys act as criminals, not as government. They use the asset of the state as a criminal corporation in a very, very, very sophisticated way. So these guys are evil, but they are super smart. I told you, they're very smart, very, very smart. So now Venezuela is in a process to a transition, but the country has to be stabilized. Today, Maria Corina Machado, the Nobel Prize, was with Trump, and she's going to be in a couple of minutes in the Congress, in the U.S. Congress, and she's going to be who's going to lead this process, but it's going to take a time. But Venezuela is now on track because they took this guy. It was necessary to take that guy out. It's going to take time, but now we have a path for the democracy.
Yes. Thank you, Jose. I think it's important for us to hear someone with a firsthand knowledge, such as yourself, to understand the truth about the situation. It's been wonderful to have you on Opening Pathways today. I'd love for you to share with the viewers how they find you, and whatever you'd like to let them know as we're closing out today.
Well, my webpage is joseconnect.com. I'm a speaker, as Tom said. I am author, and I am a coach. But today, because of the situation in Venezuela, people are trying to contact me to understand this thing that's going, because there are a lot of American companies that want to come back to Venezuela. So if you're thinking that this opportunity to do business to Venezuela, you can contact me. I can share a lot of things that you have to do.
Amazing. Jose, thank you for being on Opening Pathways today. It's been wonderful getting to know you, and I appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.
And to my viewers, this is Tom LeNoble, and I'll see you next time.